And I'm live. Ooh, wait, I just thought of something. Hold the fort. Alright. That might make the lighting better. Or maybe it doesn't. Who knows? Oh, well. How you doing? You got a drink? I got a drink. Kicking back. It's almost the weekend. Hiya, Aussie brick chick. And, yes. This is the only way, well, it's not absolutely the only way I can put a video on YouTube. There are still a mountain of boxes in my new house that I haven't unpacked. And guess what's in one of them? The cord to charge my video camera. And all my batteries are now flat, so I can't use my video camera until I find that cord, which will probably be this weekend. Now, because they're saying like, oh, going live with my mobile is all I can do, but of course I could actually shoot and edit a video on my phone, which I have done recently. Might do again, who knows? So, rather than not post anything until I had my camera working again, I thought I'd get in the vibe of doing the live stream. Procrastination, as Aussie Brick Chick says. Yes, because I got everything done. I got home from work, I cooked dinner for the family, I did a little bit of grocery shopping, and I want to kick back for an hour or so and hang out here. I'm in the kitchen. Mrs. Angry and her son are watching Star Trek, and I think he just twigged that I've been to the supermarket and there might be some TV watching snacks in the pantry. He might be right. So that's what's going on in the Angry household. I'm doing this. There's some Star Trek being watched and some pantry snacks being read. I had, just share with you, I had an ice cream just before coming on. So yes, that's the joy of the supermarket. I don't know about anyone else, but I'm a real buy it on special shopper. Like I'll just, you have stuff that you have to get for the house, bread and milk and stuff like that. But I always cruise the aisles and see what's on special. And it's like, look at that. I'm gonna, hi there, Kyle. And so, I buy I buy stuff for meals when it's on special too, but I'm always buying snacks. It's like, I'd never normally buy that, but look, it's half price. I'm going to get it. See, I'm sure this, it's what the supermarket's called loss leaders, doing big markdowns on certain items in the idea that A, it just gets people in the supermarket, or B, it gets people to buy a product they don't normally buy, and then they go, I like that product, I'll buy it full price. Never me. Never. I just don't. It's like, I literally only buy that when it's on special, and it has to be half price. See, I don't even think something is on special until it's at least 40% off. Like they go, price to clear, 20% off. 20%. I don't get out of bed for 20% off, okay? If, it's really clearance, price to clear, that's like 75% off as far as I'm concerned. That's when you're serious, 50% off, that's just keeping me, that's just treating me with respect. Having it 50% off, that's treating me with respect. But, this thing, sale, 10% off. What's that about? See, that's what I'm saying, Luke. It doesn't work on me. I don't think there's ever been a product that I've bought when it was really cheap and then paid full price for it afterwards. I am just a cheap bastard. Like, I swear to God, one of my proudest achievements was one time I got a shopping trolley and it ended up being like $50+ worth of stuff, and everything in it was at least 50% off. Some of it was more. I just felt like, yeah, that's a serious shopper when you get this full trolley and it's all 50% off. And g'day to you, David, down in sunny Tasmania. Yeah, it's not as cold here in Melbourne as it is in Tasmania, although it's turned a little bit colder today. We probably won't get any seriously cold weather for a month or so, although I shouldn't speak too soon. We're May already. Generally speaking, you do get some cold weather in May. Aussie Brick Chick, talking about Easter choc half price. Am I the only one who knows? Is this only happening in my local places? The supermarkets actually don't have much Easter chocolate half price. Like, they just disappear off the shelves. And I think I know what's happening, because the big supermarket chains also own like discount shops like the Reject Store and whatnot. And I think rather than having cheap stuff on their shelves, that don't want to detract from the overpriced Easter eggs, they tend to actually clear their shelves and send the after Easter eggs to like the Reject shop for them to sell. I don't know. Is that a conspiracy? Am I sounding like a conspiracy nut saying that? But I'm sure for the last couple of years, there's been almost no half price Easter eggs at the big supermarkets. A lot of chocolate stores do, but I don't think the supermarkets have. I think they're taking them away. That's what I think they're doing. But they do have cheap stuff after Halloween, I noticed. Which again, Halloween here, nowhere near as big as in the US, but they do have lots of cheap lollies and stuff after Halloween, I find. Oh man, speaking of Halloween, if you've never been to the States for Halloween, I recommend doing it. Like, it's so much fun that they go crazy for it. Like, I was, and this was years ago that I was there at Halloween, like 20 years ago. And even then there was this article, in USA Today saying how in the US they spend $5 billion on Halloween, and that's approximately half on candy and half on decorations. Like, it's a major part of their economy. Oh, Luke, you'd be right. Creepy clowns everywhere. Wasn't that hilarious when the media kept running stories saying about people being creepy clowns? You can sort of see the cycle when, if you looked at the way the stories were being reported, saying, a kid said, a scary clown said something to him. There were all these unverifiable and probably not true stories of people saying, ooh, scary clown in the woods, ooh, scary clown luring the kids. To the point, in several cases, cops in areas where these stories were coming from are going, no, not true, not happening. We actually investigated, we sent patrols and whatnot. As people are literally making this shit up because they've noticed that if you make this shit up, you get in the media and everyone wants to be on TV. And so people will just make shit up to get on TV. But you run these reports often enough of people in scary clowns being scary, then of course people do it for real just because it's going to get reported and they want to be reported. So it's like this feedback cycle of say an untrue story often enough and it becomes true. Thank you, Rose. I try my best to be entertaining. I think I told my clown story of me being a clown on the last live stream, so I probably won't do it again. But I used to experiment with different types of clown makeup. When I did it, because I did a theatre degree, is where I know Aidsy from. We did the same degree at the same place. I studied like classical clown stuff and some mime stuff. So I did like white face clown, and then you come up with your own makeup on the white face. I was a bit. This was in the 80s, 90s, and was a bit inspired by bands like The Cure, like pseudo gothy dark pop, and so I would do like a red lipstick and like smeared it, and I was a slightly gothy clown, I guess, only slightly, not very, but used to have the best time. Like, say, we're going to go do clowning at this school. Fate, just get into the wardrobe department at the theatre and find something really bright and put it on. Thank you, Big Bad Ads. I think you're the man too. So, yeah, it's the thing with clowning. I mean, you can make jokes about clowns and someone being a clown is stupid, but, you know, it's got a history of over 1,000 years. You go back to the Italian School of Commedia dell'arte, which, again, I studied and actually did a performance. Hey, yeah, okay, I'm going to tell you, this is you'll probably find this an entertaining story, and it involves AngryAussie. We were in the same play. It's called The Imaginary Invalid. It's a sort of Middle Ages Italian commedia dell'arte play with all these stock characters. A character that was known as Arlecchino, that it was anglicised into Harlequin. Like, we see that character, the Harlequin, with the diamond patterns, is sort of court jester with the diamond patterns, the Harlequin. The original Italian for that is Arlecchino, and Arlecchino was a vagrant. So the original versions of Arlecchino, instead of being really sharply cut diamonds, it was patches on the clothes, but it ended up getting tarted up for the crowned heads of Europe into the Harlequin with the thing. But it was still a prankster, and Arlecchino was a vagrant, a hobo, and a bit of prankster. Usually the Arlecchino stories involved him shagging all the wives in a particular town, cuckolding all the men. And I was a particularly stupid character, very clownish character. This was all done in half masks. And my character was called Zani, which is actually where Zany comes from. Zani is a particularly stupid character, and he doesn't know what's going on. But I had a sidekick, which was played by AngryAussie, who was fortunately even stupider than me. But there was this one bit of the performance. It was very physical. And at one point, he's meant to kick me in the bum to get me to realise something. And I go to him, I get it. And I'd sort of tap him on the shoulder and go, you're onto something, I know this. So what he's meant to do, we did a lot of like stage hits and stage fighting. A kick on the bum's really simple. You can make a big noise. Instead of kicking with your toe, you do it sideways with your foot. Like if you're a soccer player, you'll know that's a particular way to pass or kick the ball, with the instep rather than with the toe. And then the flat of the foot hits the bum and it doesn't hurt, and it makes a big noise, makes a big thump noise. It's very effective. And that's what he's meant to do. He's meant to instep in the bum and go thump. And one night of the run, I don't know, he completely misjudged it and got it completely wrong. And he not only went in with his toe, he didn't hit me in the bum. His foot went up between my legs and he kicked me fair in the balls. And not softly either. And just like smack. And I'm like, ah. And it's like, don't react, like you've got to keep going. Don't go down in a screaming heap like you want to. And instead of tapping him on the shoulder like I was meant to, I punched him like really hard. And he told me afterwards, it was kind of as his foot's going, he's doing that slow motion thing where he realizes he's coming in on the wrong angle, but he can't stop. He's doing a slow motion. Oh no! And then he did it, and he wasn't sure if he really got me. He was really worried that he really got me in the balls, and he wasn't sure right up until I punched him. And when I punched him, he's gone, okay, yep, no, I got him. That's fair. That was quite fair that he punched me then. And we got over it. So on the comments about Bobo the Clown, through the 20th century, there were a few very good clowns. Clowns this is the thing people don't understand. People think clowns are random, and some people who do clowning stuff are random, but particularly in America, there was almost like a union of clowns, and they had a very strict hierarchy, and you were not allowed to wear someone else's face. People think, look, clowns just put anything on, but if you're a professional clown, you had a very specific face, and it was your face, and the face would often inspire the character. It would tell you what your character was. So, and that's another thing with masks and makeup. A lot of people who don't do it, and some people who do it, they think the way you do it is come up with a character and a persona, and then you wear the mask or the makeup that fits that. And what actually happens in a lot of cases is you get the mask or the makeup first, and then you see the person, the character in that, and that's who you become. The people who know my old videos when I wore masks all the time, and that's how that came about. I would actually get masks, and they would like speak to me in a particular way, and I'd see, I know who this mask is, I know who's behind it, and it would become a character. And yes, Joe, we do have clowns ruining most countries at the moment, which is sad but true. But the question about Prince Philip, I know there is... were you saying Prince Philip because they have confirmed something about him? Because there was all that speculation about what was happening at Buckingham Palace, but I thought the answer was nothing much. Are you saying something did happen with Prince Philip? Or are you just generally asking, what do I think of Prince Philip and his wacky, obnoxious, racist, insensitive ways? Because he's stepping... Okay, so that's the thing. He's stepping down from... He's too unwell to keep going out in public. Okay, yeah, that means he is going to die. So... Okay, yeah. No, God, he's a character. Just says whatever comes into his head. He's just like, well, you know, I'm married to the world's most popular monarch, and the taxpayers just give me millions of pounds a year, and I never do anything. So I think as a service to the world, I just won't have any censor between my brain and my mouth. We are all going to die sometime, Luke. This is absolutely true. And it is more than slightly amazing that he's still around at 96. I guess if your every whim is catered to your entire life at someone else's expense, it can actually help your longevity. Who knew if you got absolutely everything, it might work in your favor? But Phil the Greek, does everyone know that? Because he is of Greek heritage, and I think he did serve in the Greek Navy. So in Australia in the 70s, he was just called Phil the Greek. Hi, Celtic King. I feel like I haven't seen you in ages. Exactly, David. He gets the best healthcare. That's what. A little bit of trivia. I read a book years ago. Was written by a journo from one of the Sydney tabloids, The Sun or something. So he had all these saucy stories from the wild days of Sydney. And one of the stories was how one time on shore leave, when Phil the Greek was serving in the Greek Navy, and he was on shore leave in Sydney in King's Cross, and he got drunk and ended up in a strip club and got arrested. And I don't know why someone thought there was something about him, but this journo got called in and recognized him and said, no, dude, you've got to let him go before it's an international incident. So yeah, Phil the Greek got arrested being naughty. Hello, thank you for asking me how I am. I am fine, thank you very much. But I mean, okay, when we talk about Prince Philip and his gaffes, the best ones are all the racist ones he did over the years. But some of my favourite ones aren't that extreme. It's just typifies how he doesn't give a shit about anyone. The Australian writer Clive James told a story about he was in a royal audience. You know the thing they do in the royal things where they go down the line and meet a whole bunch of people? He was in that, and Clive James, who was working as a journalist at the time, gets introduced to Prince Philip, like, oh, this is Mr. Clive James, you know, he's a correspondent for the Australian press. And Prince Philip looked at him and just rolled his eyes and went, ugh, a journalist and an Australian? Ugh. That's just fucking brilliant as far as I'm concerned. Well, yes, I saw that story that a guy who was reputed to be 146 just died. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that was unverified. See, that's the problem with a lot of these really old people, is sometimes they're from areas where the birth records are really shaky, and it is a little bit hard to be 100% sure how old they are. But those people who live past 120, 130, the bit that trips me out is they not only outlive their kids, they outlive their grandkids. There was one woman who died, and she was like 130 or something, and I think she had outlived great grandkids. How fucking weird is that? That is just really strange. Like, she was such an outlier. Like, it's not like she, you know, her whole family lived over 100, because they didn't. She outlived all of her children. I think all of her grandchildren, and some of her great-grandchildren. How fucking weird would that be? That's not something you're meant to experience. Like, you know, there's always the thing, you know, dramatic thing in a movie or a TV show. If a character's child dies, they always make some big speech about, oh, no parent should have to bury their child. Imagine burying your grandchildren, and not because they died young in an accident or from illness, but because they died from old age. I mean, how fucking weird is that? And how different is the world? Like, how completely out of it would it be living through a world that changed so much? Like, even, you know, people born, like, you know, just post World War II, seen a lot of change. But if you're over 100, my God. Rose, no, I don't watch the footy show. Has something happened? I don't watch either of them. You know, I like to kind of forget they're on, because I'm not a footy person really, but I'm really not into those buffheads. Which one were you watching, Rose? Was it like the New South Wales Rugby League footy show or the Victorian AFL footy show? It's good longevity. And Joe, what you were saying about tall people not living as long, absolutely true. And you can tell that's true just by looking around. How many really tall old people do you see? You just don't. Old people tend to be average height or shorter. And so short ass like me, in with chance. That's all I'm saying. You never know. I don't know how long I want to live. Because you've got, of course, you have people obsessed with living a long time. But if your body packs it in when you're 80, you know, what do you want to keep going for? G'day Antschwager, which I'm probably saying wrong. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how long I live. You know, on the one level, I'd think, well, if I had the choice between living to 80 and being in really good health and mobile right up to the end, or living to 100 but being progressively crippled that whole time and having bad health the whole time, I don't know which one I'd go for. Actually, you're right. People do shrink as they get older. That happens. Watching Patrol Boat. That's a classic Aussie show, isn't it? Patrol Boat. My God. With Andrew McFarlane, is his name? Oh, bloody classic Australian TV. How well does it hold up? Yeah, I mean, some people, Joe, you're saying people getting around and about when they're 90, some people are really active right to there. And in the Aussie Brick Chick, if you work in aged care, you'll know what it's like driving around. Mr. Stephen, we're all up. We're all having a jolly good chin wag. As usual, the conversation is wandering all over. They talk about beer endlessly. Well, that's one thing I won't do because I don't drink beer. I might talk about cider endlessly. I might talk about all my alcoholic concoctions endlessly, but not beer itself. I am not a beer person, which I know is almost sacrilege. In fact, my dad was sure I was gay because I didn't drink beer. Also because I didn't play sport. Also because I didn't have a girlfriend. In my defense, the girlfriend thing was just because the Catholic guilt thing worked too much. Speaking of Catholic guilt, Heine asking if I've seen Father Ted. I've watched a couple of episodes. It's funny, I'm not really into it. I know some people think it's brilliant. I think it's okay. And especially with my Catholic upbringing, you think I might like it more. But yeah. Mercury's okay, but you're right, there are some good Tasmanian sliders. Am I a recovering Catholic? I don't know if I recovered. I mean, I was full on, man. Catholic school. I was an altar boy. Never got fiddled by a priest. So, yeah, we had this conversation in the last one about atheism and non-believing. Oh, Dave Allen was brilliant. If you've oh my God, I just have to put this out. Aussie Brick Chick saying went to uni with a Catholic school guy who couldn't say the word sex. That is full on. When did I leave the church? See, I don't even know. We had this conversation last time. I can't pin down when did I realise it was bullshit. I mean, I know I didn't like going to church and found it a drag. Like I was an altar boy all through primary school, but in high school I didn't want to do it anymore. But I was still at a Catholic school. And I don't know when, like, the penny finally dropped, this is all bullshit. But it did at some point. There was no sort of, that's it, that was more of a, there's no big event. But sex chocolate sex. See, that could get confusing. If you're calling sex chocolate because you can't say sex, and then is Easter with your family really awkward? Like if your granny says, here you go, sonny, have some chocolate. I want to give you some good chocolate. Oh, some juicy chocolate for you. I mean, honestly, I think that would mess you up a bit. Yes. Jimmy Carr saying, what's the standing up and the kneeling and the... I mean, my dad, who was actually a convert, he converted to Catholicism to marry my mum. He ended up being really into it. He would teach catechism class in state schools. It was like a one class on a Wednesday afternoon, I think. But he used to really be into telling nun jokes as well. So... The Planet of the Apes. That's a good place to go. Speaking of which, there's a new Planet of the Apes movie coming out soon. Like a grandmother, I don't have sex with you. I know. That's if you use the wrong euphemism, it can be very awkward in a thing. It's like that thing with girls calling their boyfriend daddy. One of the funniest stories I've read, like, confessions online. A girl saying how when she took her boyfriend to meet the family and they were having dinner, and she said, like, can you pass the salt, daddy? And both her boyfriend and dad reached for the salt to carry. It's like, oh no. Yeah, the whole daddy thing, not for everyone, quite honestly. We're talking about converts. See, Ricky, I get what you're saying, but people have written this script before. It's just that they were regarded as extreme satire before, and now it's just our reality. I mean, you look at, go way back to stuff like Doctor Strangelove, or more recently the British TV series In the Thick of It, or even the American comedy series Veep. Stuff that was regarded as extreme satire and ridiculous stuff to be made fun of is now our reality. So, go us. Are we still going to be here next year? Who fucking knows? No, this is like reliving my youth. In the 80s, we all thought we were going to die in a nuclear war. And we kind of got past that with the end of the Cold War. The threat's never really gone away because all the weapons are out there. But it wasn't like, oh God, we could die at any moment. Now, thanks to Trump, everyone's kind of thinking, okay, now I'm kind of feeling like global war could start at any sentence. No. Ronald Reagan was the appetizer. George Bush was the main course. Donald Trump is vomiting after you've got food poisoning. That's what it is. That's the correct cycle right there. I should write that down. I want to use that now. This is also one of the reasons I like doing the live streams, because I can freeform and talk about topics. And if something good comes up, I can maybe use it another time. So I am going to try and remember that. Yeah, red pill. Okay, let's get controversial. Let's potentially piss off someone who's watching. Okay, I think the saddest, most pathetic, worthless thing in the world is the men's rights movement. Not that men don't have problems. I'm a man. I understand the things society, the difficulties society puts in your path, that you can be treated incredibly badly. There are biases that you have to deal with. The suicide rate among men really needs to be addressed. The toxic elements of the masculinity that's forced on us needs to be. But the idea of blaming that on feminists and saying you need men's rights is dumb as shit. To me, the one consistent factor in people who go really loudly about men's rights, I've taken the red pill, men go their own way, is their pathetic, weak, shallow, useless lives. It's just like colossal fucking losers. And they're just getting exploited. Like the big loud voices that encourage them are just making money off them. And that bugs me. I get angry on behalf of the guys who are being duped by people like Alex Jones and the various other people running their men's rights websites. It's just a scam to take money off angry, insecure men. And I get angry on behalf of the guys who are being ripped off, even though those guys annoy the shit out of me. The big loud voices in this movement are nothing but scam artists, and they're shitting all over the people. Oh yeah, Mark fucking Latham. What a sad prick he is. I mean, Latham to me epitomizes that. I don't think he got hugged enough as a child. He's now turned into one of those people for whom attention is what he must have, and he can't discern between good attention and bad attention. And even though he's always had everything his way his whole life, he just thinks that's not enough. Much love from Bulgaria. Thank you. Much love in Australia. Yeah, I mean, you got hugged by Goff. Why wouldn't you be happy after that? Oh, look, Joe, I would have voted... No, because he was the head of the Labor Party. At that point, when he was the head of the Labor Party, I mean, he was bloody opposing John Howard. Of course you're going to vote for the Labor Party when John Howard is there. And the only thing about Latham is he seemed kind of crazy. Like, who remembers that weird handshake he did with Howard at the start of the campaign? Whereas some really weird macho shit going on. And everyone just looked at it like, what the fuck is going on there? So it just seemed like things would be... Oh, yeah, you're right, RC. There were definitely signs. There were signs that it was unstable, and yeah. So Ricky was mentored by Goff. Oh man, Goff wouldn't even spit on him what he's turned into. I mean, he's such garbage now. And this is why, look, I'm as bound to ideology as anyone, but I try to remain conscious of that. And sometimes when the person who may be either leading the party that best represents your ideology, or maybe a very strong voice in the party that best represents your ideology, sometimes they're bad people. Sometimes they're fucked units. And that can be really hard because you go, okay, this person is actually a worse person than the person who's leading the party whose ideology I completely disagree with. And that can be really hard to admit. Oh, that person who leads the party that I support is actually a worse person than the person who leads the party I disagree with. That can be really tough. I mean, like, I'm still not going to vote for a party I disagree with, like if their policies I disagree with them. But I think it is important if you can actually realise, look, someone who I agree with on a whole range of topics is a fucking awful person. Thank you, Ricky. Oh, look, and thanks for that question about the red pill and Gamergate. Look, and my problem with Gamergate is that it was, and this is a simple, unequivocal, well, it's arguable, but you're wrong if you argue it, fact. Gamergate was started by a sociopathic dude who wanted to ruin his ex-girlfriend's life because she didn't want anything to do with him. The whole thing about, bias in games journalism, blah, 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 is a lie. And the problem is it sucked in some people who just genuinely thought, yeah, some bad things are happening in the gaming community and gamers are being betrayed and blah, blah, blah. And they were manipulated by fucking awful people. So it's like, if you care about the things that the Gamergate movement is lying about, they don't care about decency in games journalism. It was an anti-feminist hack job from the start. That is simply a fact. But if you care about the things about, look, integrity, honesty, openness and whatnot, start your own movement. Gamergate's all but gone now. Now they've become the alt-right neo-Nazis, but you can't ignore where you come from, basically. Because if you try and pretend that a very dark core doesn't exist, it will never go away. You can't deal with it. You can't lance the boil unless you acknowledge that it's there. So, and it can be tough. Like I said, if you really agree with someone's ideology, it's hard to not gloss over that they do bad things. Because like, I really like that actor or that musician or, that politician. And then you hear they've done really bad things and you go, yeah, but I really like them. So I'm going to pretend that's not an issue, even when it is. That can be really tough. What do I think about self-empowered video content? Wow, that's the thing. Probably depends what you mean by why am I drinking. This is just this is absinthe. I am relaxing myself with a bit of absinthe this evening. To clarify that question about the self-empowered creators, do you mean like the independent creators on sites like YouTube, etc.? Good. I had a really interesting conversation with a friend tonight who has a really successful YouTube channel, but is having some problems and has some frustration with the direction YouTube's taken and the lack of support on some things, and they just, you know, there's no question that YouTube does some shitty things, but YouTube also does some good things, and YouTube's not as bad as the traditional media industry who fuck people over just for a laugh. And that's not even an exaggeration, because the gatekeepers in things like TV and film and the music industry tend to be talentless fucking hacks who got control of the money. So if you're talented, particularly if you're young, gorgeous and talented, while they suck up to you and tell you you're fantastic, they actually secretly or not so secretly hate you, and they will fuck you over just for a laugh. Reed, what is Reed? I say that twice now, I don't know what it is. And Pantera are racists, apparently. Oh, well, I was never that into them. I thought they were probably the best of that type of music. So if they're awful, awful people, I'm not upset. Do I think Australia should be connected to England? I do not believe the monarch of England should be our head of state. I believe that makes no sense at all. And if people think, what's wrong? Just go look up November 11th, 1975, when the democratically elected government of Australia was thrown out by an unelected representative of the Queen. So there should be no constitutional link between Australia and England whatsoever. I have no problem at all with cultural and social links with England. I think England is significant to white Australia, both good and bad, and should acknowledge both. You're right, Ricky. The CIA was involved. The Falcon and Re is the battle cry of the Army of Keck. Fair enough. Yep. Fair enough. Right. Do I think Australia and New Zealand should become a single nation? Look, probably not, because I think it would be to the detriment of both. I think Australia and New Zealand have their own identity, and I don't think mixing it up is a good idea. I mean, interestingly, the first time I went to New Zealand for a holiday, looking around at all the water and all the dumb land-dwelling animals, I thought, man, this is where you come if society breaks down. Like, you know, nuclear apocalypse, climate change, zombie apocalypse, whatever. New Zealand is where you go because unlike Australia, which is so afflicted by drought, so much water there and all these dumb land-dwelling animals that you can kill for meat and fur. I don't know what New Zealand visa restrictions are being introduced. Oh yeah, anti-struggle, we talked about that earlier. Apparently, what eventually became the official announcement from the palace was that the Duke is retiring from public duties. So his health doesn't allow him to keep doing it. Rose, New Zealand is more forward-thinking on some things, most definitely, but no one's right all the time, so... Philosopher, what was the old movie where the end of the world was set in Melbourne, because like the advancing nuclear fallout, the last place it reached was Melbourne. Um, I can't even remember what that movie was called. Someone on the beach. Good on you, RC. Yes. Yes, David, you just got beaten for that. No, Ricky, you're slightly off. It's not The Last Wave. It's On the Beach. And to which the Hollywood star female lead of that movie is reputed to have said, if you're going to set a movie about the end of the world anywhere, Melbourne's the perfect place to do it. Which is like, ouch, ooh, ow. But seriously, it was in the 50s they made that movie, 50s or 60s. If someone had been living in Los Angeles, coming to Melbourne in the 50s or 60s, it must have seemed like a fucking shithole. It must have seemed really crap. I really like Tassie too. I had a holiday down there, like a driving holiday down there. Yeah, again, nice environment in Tassie. Bit cold, but you know, that's okay. Sorry, why what, Stephen? I've said too many things. Oh my god, Rory, the dolphin murder scene. Well, he's not just murdering a dolphin, he's fucking the blowhole in the dolphin. That is a truly sick and wrong comic called Crossed, which the entire premise of the comic is do the most extreme, awful, and revolting, reprehensible things you can possibly think of, and just do them over and over again. That's the summary of Crossed. And it's like this apocalypse story where there's some sort of virus that affects like 99% of the population. It's breakout. You get these lesions and they tend to form a cross on your face. Like the lesions run down here and across here, so you've got a cross on your face. And if you're infected with it, you become violently psychotic and basically lose all higher cognitive functions. And if you like, it's kind of like zombie stuff. If you bite someone, they're then infected. But the crossed, the infected, are hyper violent, and they travel. And it's not just killing; like they sexually abuse their victims as well and themselves. And it is seriously like the people who put the comic together have sat down and they've worked really hard to come up with the most fucked up things they could think of and put them in a comic. So every now and then I'll see someone go on social media like, oh my god, this is unacceptable. You can't do this and blah, blah, blah. It's like, just don't say anything. Don't acknowledge them, because you getting upset at what they've done is what they want. Otherwise, think of Tasmania's Lambie. Well, this might sound surprising, but I haven't completely given up hope on Jacqui Lambie, because she has a genuine desire to help some people that she thinks are worth helping. But she's very ignorant on some topics, and just in generally ignorant as she doesn't understand. And I hold out hope that if you are able to just calmly sit her down and say, look, this thing that you've latched onto about Sharia law and the Muslims, it's not a real thing. You know, you're a person who's capable of being really committed to something. You don't have to latch onto this weird racist shit as well. So I haven't actually given up on Jacqui Lambie. The people who brought up Erica Betts, you're right. Betts is worse because he's fucking evil. He's educated and he knows what he's doing, and he's fucking evil. He's just creepy. He's like, you know, he's the character in a horror movie that you thought was the kindly old uncle who'd keep you safe, but then he drugs the tea he's given you, and you wake up chained up in the cellar, surrounded by dismembered bodies. Ricky, you're right, and that's why I say I haven't given up on Jacqui Lambie. I think I feel like you could reach her because she is committed, seriously committed to stuff. But yeah, I haven't heard of Eric Abetz. I mean, just search him on news, Abetz. He's a senior figure in the Conservative Party known as the Liberals here in Australia. And he's just mean. He's like, everything does is grounded in really conservative religious observance. And, he's nasty. Oh, I just figure I've got nothing good to say about Pauline Hanson because on top of promoting racism, she's gutless and lies about her motivation, and also for a very long time now, she's worked out she can make lots of money by doing this bullshit because you have a political party, you get funding and you get people to give you money. She is a shallow, awful, lying, heinous person. Hey, is that someone walking past? Because there's a sliding door at the other end of this room, and if someone walks past, it just sort of rattles. But it sounds like someone's knocking, so I don't know. Aussie, I think you're right. I think Jacqui Lambie may just be too easily influenced. She's not necessarily a bad person, but she's too easily influenced. Oh, Ricky, James Ashby in Pauline Hanson's One Nation. That's, if someone's knocking at the door, you can just come in. That's what's going to implode because she apparently likes James Ashby and is giving James Ashby heaps of power, and the vast majority of the rank and file of One Nation really don't like James Ashby. And some of that is homophobia, and some of it is just that Ashby's a control freak and a bit of a prick by all accounts. Whereas, how many people do I have in my house? There's my partner, and we have 3 kids between us. I mean, they're all teenagers. None of them are particularly young. Yeah, that could have been anyone knocking at the door, but no one came in. So I think it was just the door moving as someone went past, but it really sounds like someone knocking, which is a bit off-putting. And I haven't set up a studio in here. I think Heine asked that earlier. There are 2 potential spaces where I could shoot videos, like a spare room and a shed, but they're both full of boxes at the moment, so I have to unpack more stuff. When I think of Bernardi, I do not think Bernardi's Conservative Party will work because Bernardi's not a populist. He doesn't understand the populism side of things. He doesn't understand how unpopular he is. He is a real narcissist, and he doesn't understand how unpopular he is. But I think we're fine. Although he was merging with that other pseudo-Christian group, Family First, wasn't he? He might get more votes by doing that because he is a really conservative Christian. I'm just adjusting my setup here. But yeah. I kept thinking, well, I've been shooting stuff. I've been making videos. I shot some in my bedroom. Yeah, this weekend I'm going to try and unpack things. Oh, Family First aren't Christians, Joe. They're just not. They are a bunch of cynical opportunists who exploit other people's Christian values for their own ends. Ugh. It's just, I'm very upset because while not being a Christian myself, the vast majority of Christians I know are decent people. If a tenth of what the Family First Party professed was true, their religious things were true, they'd all be going straight to hell for their behaviour. So this is the thing with if someone's never been religious and is an atheist, they often just completely lack an understanding of religious people or the ideology. See, I grew up Catholic. I had a thorough Catholic education. I know the theology. I know all the background, and I know what people pick up. So that's why I can look at people like Family First and an even far more obvious example, Donald Trump, who's clearly not a Christian, but he's just exploiting the conservative Christian ideology for his own gain. And the evangelicals in America who support and promote Donald Trump, like I said, all I can say is it's really lucky all that shit you profess about hell isn't true. You're really lucky that it isn't true, because you would be going into the darkest, hottest corner of hell for what you're doing. You are like... The Bible explicitly points out why you will go to hell for what you're doing. The evangelicals with their hypocrisy with Trump, it's explicitly in there that if you promoted Trump as a Christian out of pure cynicism just to gain power, you'll go straight to hell. I mean, that's some bad shit. So they're really lucky it's not true. That's all I got to say about that. But, just the concept that Trump's a Christian. Like, he's not even a bad Christian. Like, some people look at them and they genuinely believe their religious dogma. This is not just Christians. This is fundamentalists who are Jewish or Muslim or Buddhist or whatever. They do really believe their ideology, but they twist it into hate. But it's so obvious Trump's not a Christian. It's so mind-blowingly obvious, but they all shamelessly promote him because they want power. Oh, Rose, the Greens. I don't hate the Greens. I'm not an active supporter of them. In an election, I am more likely to vote for Labor than the Greens. I think if you're really serious about politics, you should be actively involved in campaigning. That makes a much bigger difference than just voting. Buren, you are, I think you're spot on there. He wants fame, attention, and some sort of legacy. I mean, God, we're only, 3 months into it? And it's such a spectacular shit show. Like, where the fuck is it going next? Who knows? Who knows? I don't know, but it's just like, it's almost unbelievable. Like, again, just trying to put the shoe on the other foot. Or very quickly, France, Macron versus Le Pen. Well, Le Pen is an actual fucking Nazi. So obviously not Le Pen. Like, that's not even up for debate. Le Pen is a fucking Nazi. Oh my God. So you raise a reasonable point. See, that's a weird thing. Variations of that keep happening with the Greens and Labor. They both say they want a particular policy that's a sound policy, but they want their own version, so they refuse to vote with each other, so we get nothing. I am not convinced that the Greens don't put their own ego ahead of everything else. I think the Greens do good stuff. I think individual Greens politicians do good things, but I'm not sold on them as a party. See, France is a new Germany. There's an irony in that, isn't there? Like, the German leader, Merkel, being sort of paragon of reasonableness, and France may be going to neo-Nazis, and so Germany having to stop France from being Nazis this time. That's a weird twist. Rose, I tend to agree with you. If Labour and the Greens could form a working coalition, I think that would be a net gain. Bo, a little bit of both. It's mainly, you see that I do have a bit lighter hair there, but that angle with the lighting is really showing it up, isn't it? It's like it looks like a major bald spot, but with different lighting, it wouldn't look so much like. See, if I go like that, it doesn't look like it, does it? But if I go like that, it does. It full on looks like a bald one. Oh yeah! Oh my god, that was fucking hilarious, wasn't it? And it's not just him. Erica Betts had family members who were really high up in the Nazi party, and the Terminator had it too. Matthias Cormann, who still has a German accent. His family has a bit of a dodgy past in the Nazi party too. Which is kind of funny and a little bit awkward when it's brought up in conversation. Yes, Dave, you're right. Otto was in the S. No, he's really senior in France. He was a senior SS person in France, yeah. Oh, it's just fucking priceless. I mean, what an awkward thing to bring up in interviews, right? So how with your uncle in the SS? How much longer will I be streaming, Rose? I don't know, maybe half an hour before I go to bed. Tyrannical Wolf. First, am I affected by the YouTube apocalypse? Man, I'm not advertiser friendly, and I never have been. So I've never made a huge amount of money off YouTube, so it's not affecting me at all. And you asked another question. Man, the absinthe got to me. What was the first half of your question? But yeah, no, the YouTube apocalypse is not affecting me all that much, mainly because I was never making money off it. Oh, well, thank you, Baroni. Look, one of the things I try and do, because I'm a good speaker, I'm good at articulating stuff, I try to get people who want to sort of hear these things, and they're not necessarily hearing things said the way I say them in the mainstream, to let you know, like, no, you're not alone. This is a genuine thing. The feelings you have are legitimate, and because society tells you you shouldn't get angry and shout and swear and carry on because that's bad. Well, you know what? I'll do it for you. So, man, you doing my Rick and Morty burp there and just being reminded, there was a bit of garlic in my dinner. Spaghetti bolognese. So that really came back on me just then. Ooh, lucky this isn't smell-o-vision and there's no one here in the room with me. Oh dear. Reformed socialists as centrist, centre-left, polarising you. Ricky, you're very right about really extreme rhetoric fucking things up a bit. And, that might sound strange because obviously when I make videos, I say really extreme things. My videos are at least 50% entertainment, but at the same token, for me, I refuse to pander to people. It's like, you know what? If you don't like what I say, that's fine, but don't expect me to pander to you, because I'm just not going to. And because I'm so sick of the simpering I do see in like the media and mainstream things about, well, let's be fair, let's be balanced. Balance is not having a climate change denier who's saying something that is factually wrong on the same platform who's saying something that's factually true. That's not balance. That the balance would be for every one time you let a climate change denier say fucking anything, 99 scientists got to say, no, climate change is real. Same as anti-vaxxers. They're saying something that is factually untrue, that's been proven to be untrue. So having an anti-vaxxer on a panel with a doctor is not balanced. Be the same thing for every anti-vaxxer who gets to say a fucking word. There should be 1,000 medical professionals who speak next before another anti-vaxxer is given a public platform. There's not. See, here's the thing. People talk about free speech and censorship. Free speech never has, never will mean you have to give people who are factually wrong an equal platform with people who are actually right. It's just dumb. See, it's not politics. It's truth one. Well, you've been a fan since the last day. Thank you. Malcolm Roberts with 77 primary votes. Malcolm Roberts is fucking garbage. I hate that guy so much because he is profoundly stupid and possibly insane. And although that 77 vote thing is slightly misleading, you're right, Aussie Brick Chick, there is no constitutional thing about free speech in Australia. Oh, and straight, you had your first live thing. Good. Well, now that it's so easy to do this on a phone, I will probably do it more often so you'd be able to get it back. Celtic King, bring the mask back. I do every now and then, and sorry, Joe, you got me there. Roberts would be much more likable if he was on fire. If you don't mind, if I remember that when I'm making video, I might actually steal that because I think that works really well if said really casually, just like, Malcolm Roberts says that, it's really objectionable and he's dumb and he's stupid, but if he wants to be more likable, he could set himself on fire. I mean, I'd like Malcolm Roberts much more if he was on fire. And that might be just a general line for people. I mean, like, yeah, well, Milo Yiannopoulos, you could improve your public image by setting yourself on fire. But yes. Bo, I wasn't thinking of dressing AZ up as Malcolm Roberts and setting him on fire until you mentioned it. Now, I think that's an idea with legs. I haven't done anything really cruel to AZ for ages. He must be thinking he's allowed to do things now and not be punished. So maybe I should set him on fire. Just as a lesson. Just, to not forget your place. How is AZ? He's not very well, quite honestly, Celtic King. That's why you haven't been seeing him in videos. And that's the thing. With AZ, not very Olivia Harrison. Hi, Daddy. We've had this conversation earlier about the whole Daddy thing. Just going. I still catch up with Mistress M. She moved to Adelaide, where she's doing a degree. She's going to be a qualified psychologist therapist when she finished. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But I'm hoping to catch up with her again soon. We still talk on Facebook and stuff. Sorry, that daddy thing has really thrown me. I was going to say something else, I think. AZ sick. Let's see, when I say AZ's not well, AZ's normal state of being is almost dead. Okay? So that's just how he goes through life. That almost dead doesn't bother him. It's like all you got to do is get up one more time than you go down. So, he's been clinically dead 3 times and gone through another 20 things that should have killed him and didn't. So you get knocked down, you get back up again, as the song goes. So he's not well at the moment. I did catch up with him on the weekend, and hopefully he will be in a video again soon. The traffic in Melbourne, peak hour shit. I just had to drive to Geelong and back yesterday for work, actually, but I'm going against the flow. Like the traffic, all the people who commute from Geelong to Melbourne for work, that's hellish. I could never do that. Jump buses. See, I don't think Malcolm Roberts really has jumping buses in them. No, you're right, Mr. Stephen. Setting AZ on fire, that wouldn't kill him at all. Thank you all. And I will say AZ sincerely appreciates when everyone sends the good wishes. It's really heartwarming. They're going, oh, he's vaping. You know, AZ, we made a video about this probably 2 years ago, how AZ was vaping literally years before it went mainstream, because a friend of his picked it up. I don't know where he found it online, but you can help quit smoking. You get this nicotine stuff that you vaporize, and he was getting all this stuff from China, and AZ got it, and this was years ago. But the trouble with, like vaping being a hipster thing, of course, saying I was doing it because I was doing it before it was cool, makes you sound like you're being more of a hipster. Like I was into it before everyone else. It's like everyone uses selfie sticks now, but anyone who knows my videos from years ago, I've used a monopod with my video camera for years. But Celtic King, he did a stage show. AZ did a stage show about 5 years ago. It was in the Melbourne Comedy Festival. It was called Code Grey. It was the story of his medical misadventures, and it's on YouTube. You look up AZ Code Grey. There's a whole channel where the entire live show is on there, and also I did a lot of behind the scenes stuff, the rehearsals and interviews and talking about it. Yes. Yeah, and so yeah, we both have our things that you can't really say I did it before I was cool, because then people think you're even more a hipster. Northern Territory statement. That's interesting, patriotic Australian. What would be the legal and constitutional difference between the Northern Territory being a territory and being a state? I mean, because they've got their own government now. That was always the big difference. The Northern Territory was a territory run by the federal government, so they didn't have their own government there. But now they do have the territory government. What would be the practical and legal and constitutional difference between being a territory and a state? That's a genuine question. I don't know what the aim is there. So yeah, what would we see that would actually be different if the territory was changed to a state? That would probably inform my answer. Like, why would people want it? What would be the difference? And what would be gained or lost by doing it? RC, you're right, he could, but it literally is a problem. AZ is too unwell to commit to anything long term. See, in his 30s, he was a really successful stand-up comedian. Like, everyone in the comedy circuit knew him. He did stuff all over. He had gigs writing for various shows on all the commercial channels. Like, whenever you see... oh, thanks for the link, Heine. Whenever you see things like the panel shows, where they're all sitting around talking, or there's a host on a Tonight Show being witty and wise, they don't come up with their own jokes. They have a staff of writers who come up with the jokes, who don't get to be on screen. AZ was one of those writers. And he was doing really well in stand-up, but he got rheumatoid arthritis and had done, part of the treatment was getting chemo to try and kill it. And that made him quite sick. And why braces? This is my work clothes. I haven't changed out of my work clothes. I wear a vest as well. I don't know, I'm a wanker. Could that be an answer? It's just my thing, man. And I wear a hat too. It's just my thing. I'm completely okay with someone not liking it as a fashion thing. Huonville, we're going to Huonville Rose. Enjoy the drive. That's a beautiful bit of country there. Yes, no, I do. When I go to work, I wear braces, suspenders, whatever you want to call them. I got complimented by a drunk on the tram the other day. There were two drunk blokes. Your drunk blokes who decide they've got to be social with everyone on the tram, and most people try and avoid them. But this guy went, "Oh, like you look, mate." That was I think it was my vest and my hat. And so I had a good chat with him. He's getting complimented by a drunk. That's not bad. And this was the middle of the day too, by the way. Dude's drunk in the middle of the day. The question about moving from Sydney to Melbourne. Yes, I recommend it. I did it almost 20 years ago, like 19 and a bit years ago. This is my 20th year in Melbourne after living in Sydney for 10 years. And while I liked Sydney when I was there, I'd never once considered going back. Like, the move to Melbourne was freaking awesome. It is so much easier to live here, and I very much do it. I am absolutely a white-collar wanker, Mr. Stephen. Never done a day's hard work in my life. I am ex-Sydney, Ricky. I grew up in the country, moved to Sydney, and then moved to Melbourne. Mr. Magoo, that is weird. Maybe they got Mr. Magoo off the internet. Yeah, Joe, homeless people can be good. I'm a bit cynical about, not always, but most of the time, I don't give money to people on the street, because any time I have, I feel like they've just treated me like a soft touch and hit me up for more, which gives me the shits. So for that reason, I very rarely give people on the street money. I don't judge them. And like, I get annoyed with people who say, oh, they're going to drive off in their car later. No, people are not sleeping on the streets if things are going their way, okay? They might not be absolutely impoverished. They might have some alternatives. Things aren't really going the way. Okay, that's the answer. Okay, that's a good point. If the laws in this territory can still be revoked by the feds, I get why you wouldn't want that, and you'd want more representation at the federal level as well. I have nothing against the idea. Then, if that's what the territory would gain by being a state, I have nothing against it. I was speaking of drugs. Like, I was waiting at a tram stop to meet a friend one time, and there was this, she was youngish, probably in her 20s, Aboriginal woman, and she was drunk, but she was being friendly, and I could tell, like, most people didn't want to make eye contact and talk to her. I thought, but actually, she's harmless, and she wants to talk to someone. So I was just talking to her, and she was so happy that someone talked to her, and we had a good talk, and it cheered her up. And when my friend came and said, oh, I have to go now, and she she gave me a hug, and my friend was really like, dude, who's that? I said, I don't know, she just wanted to talk to someone. You're absolutely right, Ricky. Lifestyle choice. Homelessness tends not to be a lifestyle choice, but it's all right. I do get bugged by people who are really judgmental against the homes. And yes, it is true that not all beggars on the street are homeless, and some of them are exploiting people. Ni hao. Okay, ni hao. Oh my god, random thing just reminded me. You know how kids can be better at learning a new language than adults? When my kids were really little, like when their first year or two at school, and they were studying some language, and they learned how to say, ni hao for hello, and because it's tonal, and if you're not used to doing the tonal stuff, like I'm not as an adult, you tend to get it wrong. And the kids were saying, ni hao, and I said ni hao, and they went, no, not like that, like this, ni hao. And they tried like 3 or 4 times, and in their opinion, I got it wrong every time. And my 5-year-old daughter condescendingly put her hand on my shoulder and went, that's okay, Daddy. Teacher said adults find this hard to do. And I was like, shut up, you're 5, okay? Stop acting like you're better than me, okay? Just because maybe you're better at that than me. So yeah. Cool. Yeah, I mean, learning languages is awesome. I've never done it. RC, you were absolutely right. We should look. I don't know any other languages, and I really regret that. I just wasn't interested in it when I was at school. I think people really should learn multiple languages because it just makes life more interesting as far as I'm concerned. So you know, I feel a bit bad that English is the only language I know. Maybe it's not too late. There is that joke and I do note that a lot of the people who speak the loudest, they don't like immigrants or tourists speaking other languages. I do note that the people who scream the loudest about that don't seem to have the best grasp on English, quite honestly. And they maybe shouldn't be pointing fingers quite so much, in all honesty. So, oh my God, we're coming up to 90 minutes, which will probably be it for me. God, I'm so glad YouTube made this just absurdly easy to do on a phone, because they made it so difficult to do on a desktop or a laptop. Like, you've got to install an app, and I had so much trouble making it work, and it was such a pain, so I gave up on trying to do live streams. And now it's absurdly easy to do on a phone, so that's what I do. And Schlater, it goes well. It goes towards my bedtime now. I don't even know what time it is. I think it must be nearly 10 o'clock. Oh yeah, no, you can't play music. And look, I know it's the lowest common denominator thing. Like, people always blame YouTube for the copyright enforcement on YouTube. If YouTube had their way, they wouldn't do it. But the record companies freaking hate YouTube, and they're upset that YouTube makes money and they don't, and they want more money. When do I move in? I'm not sure what you're asking there, Ricky. Yes, tomorrow is a work day. I actually, I have cable internet because I have Foxtel, and I get the internet through that too. So that's basically as fast as you can get with a domestic connection in Australia. So it works fairly well for me most of the time. Yeah, even this is on Wi-Fi. That works well. I mean, actually, my 4G half the time is probably faster than my Wi-Fi, but of course, I'll use up all my data if I do that. Thank you, Anti-Schwager. Okay, I've got it now, because it's really small, the usernames. Jahatma, look, you're absolutely right about the record companies screwing things up even for the hours. When will I do the next live stream? In all probability, on the weekend. I'll try and do an edited video tomorrow. I might do that on my phone and upload it from my phone. But there's a fair chance I'll do another live stream on the weekend, particularly if I get Aidsy over. We might do one together. I'm glad you found it entertaining, Aussie Brick Chick. I will try to be entertaining again soonish, because I really enjoy doing this. Like, I used to, years ago, I did this at least once a week on the old Blog TV platform, which doesn't exist anymore. It was really good. It was on a Wednesday night. Thank you, Olivia. Made my night. Okay. I used to do it almost every Wednesday night, because Mrs. Angry did a painting class, and that left me on my own. So, Asian puppets, get puppets. See, you're on a winner there. That is a really good idea. Really good. I like that idea. Yeah, Joe, I really hope he is too, and I really enjoy working with him. It's funny because we had the same training. We did the same theatre training, and there was an enormous amount of improvisation, and which works so well on YouTube. Aidsy's been too sick to be over at my place and make videos. We sort of live on opposite sides of town. It would take him about an hour and a half to get to my place. Puppets. No, God, I really think that's going to happen. I remember years ago, my kids made, and by years ago I mean like 10 years ago, my kids made some puppets, really simple puppets for an art thing in school, with some bamboo sticks and a little and they were really effective puppets, and I made a couple of videos with it. Man, oh God, now you've got me going. I think there's going to be puppet. Aidsy is very good at characters. He's very good at accents. Like, it's a party game where people say, like, just say an accent and he'll do it. And I'm kind of shit at accents, and he is absurdly good at accents. So that's another thing I would look. If I can get Aidsy over here, we'll do a live stream. I don't know what day or time it'd be most likely be Sunday. But I'll try and do a live stream and just get him to improvise and do his accents and whatnot. South African, he can do quite easily. But he even, like, when we did this at a party a while ago, and then people saying things like, I want you to do a Russian who spent a few years working in Paris and he's been living in Edinburgh for the last 10 years. And he could do it. Like, the core of it was the Russian, and then some words had a little bit of French accent, and other ones would have this Scottish accent, and it was absurd, but he could actually do it. Oh, Aidsy unedited, yes. That's pretty special. We were gonna do a thing where we just got absolutely gutted and just say every terrible thing that came into our head. In fact, I think what I'd do if I ever did that would be to record it, and if it's too evil and offensive and awful, we might put it up on a secret YouTube channel, so we don't go to jail for the things we say. Patriarch Aussie, Apex Gang doesn't actually exist. It was a fabrication made up by the Murdoch media. What was happening is some youthful miscreants were organising their antisocial and sometimes criminal activity through Facebook and other social media, and this concept of a gang dominated by, I think, Pacific Islanders and other ethnic groups known as Apex, that idea caught hold, but there was never a thing like, it's not like Crips and Bloods or even like a motorcycle gang. There was never an official structure of anything that was the Apex gang. There were most definitely some antisocial use doing stupid, obnoxious shit that they needed to get smacked down for. But in any real sense of the word, there's actually no such thing as the Apex gang. It was a whole invention of Murdoch tabloids, and the cops have said, but the group who were organising and did do a bunch of little crime sprees with carjackings and whatnot, the ringleaders have all been arrested, and there are still obnoxious youths who will get together and cause havoc. That's just life. But the Apex gang as such doesn't exist. How did Murdoch media rule the world? Ruthlessness and shameless lying and pandering. Sorry, Aussie, I really like that. How did that Apex community organisation turn into a criminal gang? I don't know. Patriarch Aussie, as much as things like being stripped of permanent residency, I think a lot of people say really stupid reactionary stuff about, immigrants, refugees doing terrible things. But people who commit serious crimes should absolutely be punished. And if someone's not an Australian citizen and they were here, like their visa is still temporary, like they had a residence, but they hadn't become a citizen, they commit a serious crime, I don't have a problem with them saying, no, well, fuck you, man. We gave you a break, and for whatever reason, you acted like a knob. Fuck you. Now, Prince Philip's sick. I think he will die soon. He looks like a walking corpse as it is. But yes, all right. All right, we are actually coming up on 90 minutes now, and I think that's me for this evening. So I have had a lot of fun, really enjoyed this. Really glad you all dropped in. Couple of good ideas I want to use. Going to get Aidsy on a live stream and do some puppet work. I think that would be legendary. And yeah, I want to make the joke about Malcolm Roberts would be more popular if he set himself on fire. That really tickles me. I really like that one. Yeah, I really think that's going to be my general insult for people. They'd be more fun if they were on fire. See you when the mud dries up. Good plan, Ricky. Thanks everyone for telling people to click for the notifications too. I will be back. Joe, that was a really good line. Love it, mate. Yeah, probably on Sunday. I'll try and do an edited video on either Friday or Saturday. This is the thing. If I have problems with getting edited video up, I'll probably do more live streams. So, but I think I might do another one on the weekend, probably on Sunday, even if I do get an edited video up on Friday or Saturday. But yeah, thanks for dropping by, and hope to catch you again soon. I might do it like at a different time of day, because then I'll catch people differently, I guess, and see what happens. But I won't tie myself to a specific thing yet. Adam, you're on a refugee visa. Well, dude, I hope it works out for you. I really hope that it's turned out to be the right thing for you to get in on a visa, and I hope all good things happen to you. Yes, Ricky, I'm less angry on the live streams because they're more chatty. But that's why I think I'll do a recorded video, because I get to do the performance thing and be a bit angrier and shoutier on the thing. So thank you everyone. Thank you for all your good wishes. I'll pass on all your good wishes to Aidsy. He really likes that, and we'll hopefully see him again soon. Yeah, well, Mr. Stephen, I might do one during the day on Sunday, so it'll be a very different time of day. So do I do taxes? I have an accountant who does my taxes. Okay, see you everyone. I'm going now. I'm gonna get to bed. Bye.